Down the stretch there, obviously back and forth game. I think Chicago scored on maybe its last 10 possessions, not counting the inbounds there. What were they doing offensively, or what were you guys not doing defensively that just kind of allowed them to continue to score?
Their force, their drivers. They had 80 points in the paint. A lot of that just comes down to the individual pride, the ability to have a competitive response, a more physical response, and I don't think that we just did it at a high enough level today. That group of, Okoro and Giddey and Jones and Collins, like they turned up kind of their intensity and their downhill drives, and they offensive rebounded. And so I was just thinking that moment, our competitive response wasn't good enough, our physicality wasn't good enough. But for the majority of the game, I actually thought that we were in a really good spot offensively and defensively. It just comes down to how do you protect the paint, how do you guard the ball, and have the individual pride and respond.
In pregame, you talked about how you had the time to be able to kind of clean up some of the things you thought you needed to be cleaned up, and you're clearly frustrated right now when you hear the 80 points in the paint. How kind of disheartening is it to see that after having the time off that you guys did?
Yeah, less frustration, more just I know what we're capable of, and I know that the team has obviously shown so much of a competitive response typically throughout this game and throughout the season, and so I just want to see us elevate that even more. And we knew what kind of team we were going to play today. Game one, they had 76 points in the paint, and that part to me is just like, when you know what's coming your way and you're not ready for it, we got to take that ownership and accountability.
What was your thought on the challenge overturning the call on Khan?
Yeah, I know in live play and even on the video replay, I thought that was going to constitute as like a secondary act, but it sounds like the officials looked at it. And then they said there was no secondary act, and I thought maybe even the foot, the landing area, might get called too. But unfortunate turn, but it doesn't really come down to that one play. There was too many other moments before defensively that we could have kind of controlled the game.
Because I thought both of those things, I don't think he got hit as he shot, but right after he did hit his hand, and he landed in his area. I've seen how many times that's been called, that play goes.
I agree. And, they'll review it. We'll hear in the last 2-minute report whether it was right or wrong. And I want to keep fighting for our guys, and all those moments and all those calls are important. But if it gets reviewed and they still feel that way, the refs have a job to do. And so we can control some other things. You can't control sometimes the officials or the calls that don't go your way, but how we guard the ball, how we have the competitive response to just the individual pride of defense is the most important thing.
You talked a lot about body language over the past couple seasons. Curious, did you think your team kind of had what you wanted in that front tonight?
Yeah, I thought that they understood what was going on. Their communication was really good early in the game. I thought their whole bench is talking to some of their slide spacing and who the cutters are. And even as we were starting to pick up Giddey maybe a little bit too high up the court and allowing him downhill angles, players talking to one another saying that, let's back up our pickup point and kind of draw our feet in the sand there. But no, I thought that body language-wise, togetherness-wise, the group was in a really solid place, and we've gotten better and better every game, every day.
With Brandon, I think he had 18 points tonight. What did you see from him in terms of his shooting as opposed to the last couple of games out there on the court?
Yeah, Brandon and I talked a little bit about him just continuing to make the right play. I think that he's obviously a really good shooter. He's really a dynamic scorer, but there's been moments where because he is so good, so dynamic, teams are shifting a ton on him. And I thought he started the game in a great place of reading the shifts and seeing that low man help, and he kind of started the whole ball movement trend and helped us get great shot quality throughout the game. And I thought that actually opened it up for him to then get good looks later in the game. As he continues to come back from his injury, I know he will find that rhythm and knock down more shots, but he's getting really good looks, and I think that he's also trying to play with the pass as well.
Sion's been a big player for you guys, being a connector for this team. How is it having two connectors on the floor with Josh Green back. You had some lineups with both of them at the same time.
Yeah, even three. Like Tijon out there too. He does a great job of helping us facilitate offense, and I think he's getting a better feel for that seam and how to get to the next action. He had a great one more pass today for a corner three. But I thought Josh was really good in his minutes. You can see again that competitive spirit and juice, and once he gets his legs under him, he'll be even more dynamic. He had a couple drives and dump offs, so glad to see that. And like you said, Sion, he's playing a little bit of backup point at time and having to organize our team, and then also guarding sometimes the best player on the other end. And so he just shows his versatility. I think he shows his willingness to do whatever it takes to help impact winning at the highest level. So I think all three of our connectors had a really good night tonight.
My addition's correct. I think you guys got out rebounded by 13. It seemed like a few of the times, like they outfought you for the ball on the offensive boards, and that's probably the difference in the game. What did you see with that?
Yeah, I see it a little bit similarly to you, where we just, again, especially in the game, in those big moments, you just got to be able to dig down a little bit deeper and try to find a way to be a little bit more physical and come up with them.